I'm willing to bet that when you first saw advertisements for The Croods that you weren't really interested in seeing it. Well, I'm here to tell you to go against your instincts. It's an amazing movie with an original story, amazing cute computer graphics, and a great moral statement. While DreamWorks is probably my favorite company, I will admit that it doesn't have very good advertising. And I was one of the people who, when I first heard the idea of a caveman movie, I wasn't really interested in seeing it, but I was glad I went to see it because I would have missed out on a lot. As a student at Full Sail University, I learned a lot about what goes into these movies, like making the characters, how to make them move, and how to make all the explosions and that kind of fun stuff. During this presentation, I'm going to talk about the good things and some of the bad things of The Croods, the amazing computer graphics, and why it should have won the Oscars. I read a movie review by Scott Chitwood, and he was like me that he didn't really want to see it at first either, but he was glad he went to do it. He made a lot of good points as to why the movie is good. For instance, the creatures. The creatures were made by Chris Sanders, the same man who designed the aliens for Lilo and Stitch. With that bit of information, I bet you can imagine there were some pretty wacky creatures. While the creatures were pretty imaginative, they were made from creatures we already know. The main creatures being a saber-toothed tiger with the colors of a parrot, the oddly colored monkeys, the elephant mice, the crocodile dogs, the lizard coyotes, and so many more creatures that you'll have to find out for yourself. Another point he makes is that there's a lot of action in the movie. There are some subtle sentimental moments, but most of the movie is action. And with this comes comedy. The comedy and action are kind of intertwined. When there's a lot of action, there's equal amount of comedy, and when there isn't a lot of comedy, there's equal amount of action. They left the less action-oriented scenes for the emotional bits in their movie. They kind of intertwine their music in their action and comedy as well. One of my favorite things is during their hunting sequences. They use music that replicates football music, which made it very entertaining for me. The one concern that he and I both have were that its marketing were not very good, so the only way it really could have gotten out there was word of mouth. But that's the really only bad critique we could make. Now I'd like to talk a little bit about the graphics. Because the movie is about the end of the world as the cavemen know it, there has to be a lot of dust to replicate the breaking and earthquakes and everything that goes on in the movie. Dust particles are how they did this. All the dust that you see isn't actually real, like in most movies and TV shows. They also made a lot of fire, water, and tar. The tar was very impressive because of the way it interacted with the characters and really made them feel stuck. Another really impressive feature that they used were their textures. Because the cavemen aren't clean and pristine, they're very dirty, have a lot of dust, and have a lot of scars. And even pausing this for one shy moment gives you a beautiful picture. So I'm going to ask you a question that I'm not the only person asking. Why didn't the Croods win over Frozen? It's kind of a complicated and simple question to answer all in itself. While the Croods is a bit more imaginative, they have about equal graphics. However, story-wise, I would say that the Croods is better. There is a rumor going around that people who voted for the Oscars didn't actually watch the movies. And if this is the case, then there's no wonder that Frozen won, because it got a lot more hype than the Croods. But that doesn't ultimately mean it's a better movie. In conclusion, I'm not the only person who thinks that it should have won. And it's a must-see movie. So if you're looking for relatable characters, amazing graphics, and a heartwarming story, go see The Croods.